Welcome back to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura, and I'm going to do a general message for Virgo. Know that energy is fluid, rules can be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Never force anything, especially on this channel, because we look at the shadows, and everyone should want to know what their shadows are and how their shadows play out as karmic themes within their relationships. We attract our soul's mates based on what we need in order to heal. That's why there's usually like this intense connection when you first meet that person. But then there's also like this, there's a lot of passion, but there's also a lot of triggers because we're connecting to a person that we learn unconditional love, and we learn unconditional love through this soulmate, whether it's past life, whether it's karmic mate, whether it's a twin flame, it doesn't matter. We're learning, even as just a regular soulmate, it could be just a random person, but someone that influences your life, touches your life. They do so because they brought you something, that they brought you a new awareness of either yourself or of life in general, and it influenced you, and it influenced you enough to change. So that's what soulmates are. They don't necessarily mean that you're supposed to be with this person. So understanding what a person's intentions are is helpful, but understanding what your spiritual blocks are is even more helpful, because when you heal the effects of your trauma, which is looking at your wounds and looking at the shadows, and then really integrating them, which is learning what is that is actually blocking you, what actually is the imbalance of how you are contributing to your undesirable life experience, and you incorporate new habits, new behaviorisms, you're able to quantum jump into a new reality, into a reality that's better for you, better for your higher self. I keep wanting to say, but it's more in alignment with your higher self. See, the higher self is God part of self, which is always coming from a place of unconditional love. And it doesn't look at anything as good or bad. We as human beings tend to look at things as good or bad. And so when we have a spiritual block, we look at it as bad. And so much so that we detach and dissociate from that aspect of ourself. So it's not like that energy goes anywhere, even though we've detached from it. So we just are not aware of it anymore, especially when that energy has been suppressed for so long that it becomes repressed. And we don't really even have the awareness anymore. All that's left is the behaviorism, the end result. And even that, a lot of times, is subconscious. It's the actual experience that is playing out in the physical realm, which is the last step to manifestation. That's how we realize this is how I'm manifesting what I don't want to manifest. So, like I said, there's many different realities that play out at one time. So understanding what your shadows are is imperative to living the life that you want to have. All right, so again, if you want to enter into winning a free reading with me, you have to be open to getting a shadow reading. You have to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write the word of the video in your comment bar. The word of the video is self-observation, self-observation. Funny, it's like, this is what I was saying before, like that shadow healing is all about creating awareness of how we are contributing to the undesirable life experiences. And I'm feeling like you're in separation with your person, that they're actually doing a lot of self-observation, and which is a good thing, because they tend to never come from that aspect. They tend to always come from the ego part of self. So when a person's able to look at themselves in a truthful way, it's because they're usually not liking what they're seeing in their life. And it's usually they've hit rock bottom. So I'm feeling as if you're in separation with the person that's in a dark night of the soul. So they actually had no choice but to look at themselves. And it's because everything in their life had just seemed like the tower. So like tower moments. So could have lost a job, the end of a relationship, uh, definitely a separation from you. And I don't know what type of relationship that you are, but you're significant. You're significant enough that you're showing up connected to this person while they are also like going through a lot. This is why they're forced to look at themselves. So let's see why I'm picking up on that energy. Let's see what's happening. So we'll look at the hidden truths first. Now, whether a person loves you or when they don't like you, they can, it can trigger them to look at themselves, right? So I can't stop thinking about you, but here we see that you're in separation from this person, and they are realizing that you're someone of importance. They're also realizing that you're putting your foot down, like you're not having it, like you're over their bullshit. And they tend to normally get what they want, is what I'm feeling. So I feel like they played some games. I hide behind material things. And this person doesn't like who they are. And so, and I feel like they lived more from the ego part of self. And a lot of us do when we're younger, if we're not educated from people that are worldly. So I'm feeling like your person may be worldly or starting to get worldly, but they don't come from parents that have traveled the world and really educated. So I'm kind of feeling like your person's idea of rich was material things. And yes, on one aspect it is, but um, not when you don't have good relationships, not when you don't know who you truly are. Then those things just become things to fill your life, and they don't really hold much value. Um, and I say that because this person seems to have a lot of things, but they don't nurture any one of those things. I don't feel like they're grounded. I don't feel like they're happy. I feel like they're going through a dark night of the soul because everything that has been created in their life was built on superficial things, not of the heart, but of, again, the material. I'm grateful for the spiritual lesson. You coming into this person's life, like you said, has shown them a different way to live. I feel like when you first met this person, they felt you were humble. They thought you were nice. Yes, they were attracted, but they wanted somebody that had more like flair, more like someone that like wore only name brand clothes, someone that drove fancy cars, someone that, like on the outside kind of bragged about who they are, like someone that's was big in the community. And ironically, I feel like you became that person while you're in separation. But when they first met you, you were not that person, or they perceived you as not that person. So it's ironic how they're viewing you different now. And so I'm feeling like I said, on every level, you've changed. You've changed where this person has fallen in love with these changes because they've been inspiring. And again, you check off all the boxes of what they truly want. And then they also know this other side of you, of being humble, of being sweet, which actually makes them feel more secure. Because I don't feel like this person is secure within themselves. They're not happy with themselves because of what they're going through. And they're realizing all I have is a bunch of shit. I have like nice home, maybe, and then maybe nice car and things, but my life is empty. And it lacks passion. It lacks fun. It lacks connection. It lacks depth. That's a big spiritual lesson, by the way. So you are a significant person in this person's life, I feel, because of that. gonna pull one more. I wish I could share my good news with you. It's like, so they are changing. It's not like they're not, but I feel like they are just not, they're not in a happy way there because of the self-observation. They're in a dark night of the soul. So they're in more of a healing space, not in a relationship space. So we have to look and see what they actually did, and then obviously like what they're going to do. I say that only because healing, this is a healing channel, and we need to always look at the triggers. Stonewall. Again, it triggers me deeply when I am stonewalled. Silence killed the connection for me. So I feel like, again, you got triggered because this person didn't give you what you needed. It's again, I feel like you did tell them, but they were in their mind, they were looking for a different type of person. In their mind, they thought that they were going to meet somebody that, you know, drove a nice car, like had nice things, or bragged about their things, and it was all show and no go, kind of more like who they are. And what they realize is they don't want that. But they didn't give you anything. And I think that they didn't give anything in hopes that you would react. And what they see is that you haven't reacted, which has made them look at themselves. This person is used to getting exactly what they want because they tend to play games. Judged. I felt my thoughts, feelings, and emotions were being judged by you. And again, every time that you did try and talk to this person, they downplayed your feelings. They were like making it like, well, this is just the way that I am. Like you felt that the relationship was not deep. You felt that they were deliberately like breadcrumbing you, not giving you enough, playing games with you. And then they would twist it and make it like that you were judging them by judging you at the fact of, well, this is the way that I am. And then when you weren't getting anything, I feel like you really didn't talk to them in hopes that they would talk to you. And instead, what they did was they stonewalled you. So it's again, there's this one up ya energy. And that's why they're in the way that they navigate relationships. I don't feel like this person just does that with you. I feel like they do that in life. So if they're a business owner, they could tend to be that way. And then issues of their business not working out right now because, again, of who they are, of how they navigate relationships, how they play games as a whole. I feel like you're part of that, though, and how and because they're in a dark night of the soul where everything's falling apart, it's like it's not that I feel that they would have never looked at your situation with them, but it almost is like benefiting you because they're going through a dark night of the soul. This person normally has a big ego. They make a lot of excuses of why they don't need to change. And I feel that they know like what they did was wrong. The whole like gaslighting boundaries. So my boundaries were seriously crossed and disrespected. And that's you because you're like, all I did was ask for like the simplest, which is be true. Like, if you don't want to be in a relationship, tell me you don't want to be in a relationship. If you want to be in a relationship, be specific on the type of relationship that you want. And this person just plays a lot of games. They didn't want to give you a relationship. They wanted a relationship on their terms. I don't like know even what to call that because I would say they want a booty call once in a while. They wanted what they want. So they weren't ever wanting to give like a real serious offer is what I feel like. And that's where you're like, well, my boundaries are crossed because you already know what I want. So then what happens is that you come in and you try and offer me something that's a lot less than what I want to try and like wear me down. And so, like you said, you stood up to this person. I feel like people tend to cave to them. and they thought that they were going to play that game with you. Okay. Please don't give up on me. But see, what they're realizing is that they still have feelings for you. That's the self-observation. Is like, why do I still have feelings for this person after they, they make things difficult? I feel like you triggered this person because they're used to getting what they want. And they also perceived you from their perception, not from how they are, how you truly are. And so this person didn't give you time, perceived you, I think, the way that they perceive everybody else, and they are used to getting what they want. So they're like, I'm just going to keep wearing you down, wearing you down. Eventually I'll get what I want. And that's not what happened. And that's where you're like, oh no. And how this person really did it is, it's like, I feel like they just kept you up in your head to like bring you around and around and around. And the reason why is because it's like you explaining and them twisting it like and saying like you're judging them. You being a little upset and not just saying, I don't even know what to say anymore because I'm telling you how I feel and you're not really listening to me. Instead, what you do is you stonewall me, you punish me. And this is the way that you cross my boundaries because you know what I want and you're trying to get me to disrespect myself. Like I said, they're shady. They're like, again, will you give me a second chance? So it's, again, I feel like the self-observation is I still care and still have feelings for you. I see what I did. I'm trying to let people in, like I'm trying to be a different person. I'm trying to heal. And like, but would you even give me a second chance now? Where before they acted like they didn't care if you gave them a second chance. They didn't care. They acted as if they were doing you a favor, like you had a problem. And that's what I mean. Like they just kind of kept you up in your head, like playing games, like you could feel the spiritual connection, but we're not going anywhere. And every time you try and talk to them, they twist it. I am filled with regret. So obviously you see that they're, in the dark night of the soul, and they're really taking a look at how they treated you. And why I feel like they're really in full regret with you is because you're doing stuff within your life. And I feel like for whatever reason, they might have thought that they were going to do something with you, or they also see that the point that you're not so showy is more like it's more like classy. It's more something that is would benefit them to be with someone that's not so showy the way that they were because they see the life that they created because of it. Words have hurt me in the past, and that's why I fear talking to you. See, they have a hard time communicating. So part of them is like, I wish that you would just come to me and like talk to me. But the truth of the matter is that's not going to happen. I feel like they know that that's not going to happen. I'm going through a dark night of the soul. Nothing in my life is making sense. Didn't I say that? Didn't I say that? I told you that. It says it's because nothing that this person built was built on truth. It was built on the ego. It was built on stuff. It was built on outside things and like facades. And that's why they're like going through it. And that's why they see that this is a real spiritual lesson, that those things are not what makes a person happy. Because then normally you would think that a person would learn this lesson early, but not if they're sheltered, not if they came from like not really having a lot of money. I feel like this person grew up in an environment that there wasn't a lot of money. The parents weren't cultured, that maybe the parents weren't even together. Maybe someone died. There's always reasons why I feel like they have started to do those things, like educate themselves and travel and take and do more for themselves. And in that, they're realizing that in their, younger years, it was all about things. Because when we're younger, a lot of times, if we grow up without money, we think that those things are going to give us the happiness, that are going to make our lives grand and exciting. And it's not things that make it exciting. This person also probably thought that having those things would make people like them more. And I think for a long time, they hid behind, that's what it said actually, that they hid behind their things, meaning you didn't really see who they were because there wasn't anything to see. This is why they couldn't let you get close to them. They wanted you to view them from what they have. And that's why, again, when we make ourselves like our things ourselves, but like kind of like a facade, it brings us further away from our true self. And that's why this person's in a dark night of the soul, because they lived from like this, facade. These feelings overwhelm me and I become afraid. Sometimes I even run away from you because of it. See, it's again, this is a real soul relationship. And I'm feeling like it's almost like a twin flame relationship because it's getting them to change, because they're actually looking at themselves. They didn't want to look at themselves. In fact, I believe that they ran from you in the beginning. And the feelings of unconditional love is what a twin flame has. So I feel like this person has tried to walk away from you, has tried to date other people, has tried to like buy things and do things to forget about you. And the thing is, it's like they still have feelings for you. And the more that they try not to think about you, the more that they do think about you. And it's starting to frustrate them. And the time away is starting to feel like extra, like I feel like they're getting impatient. They're getting very moody. They're getting very agitated because they're like all over the place. They're like, I want you and I have passion for you. But it's like, I don't want to be this vulnerable. I don't want to be this vulnerable. So I try to get things my way. And I try to do things my way to protect my heart. And I don't really want to communicate because I don't really want to have to make a decision. Because when I make a decision, I always wind up hurting someone and there are consequences. So, and I don't want to hurt myself. So they're just all like a confusion, 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 confusion. I want to hold you in my arms and feel our bodies unite as one. Again, there's this much passion. This is why they can't walk away. That's why they've tried, but they're like, there's just too much passion. But this is what soulmates do because we wouldn't stick around long enough to learn our lesson, to change. Your person is changing, even though they don't realize they're changing. They're changing because they're looking at you and then they're again wanting that connection, but then they're also looking at themselves and being like, wait a minute, I don't normally want these type of connections. I've never had a deep connection like this before. Well, why do I want this connection? Well, what would happen if I'm vulnerable? It's making them really like look at themselves and figure out what they want without realizing it. You're the catalyst. You are that person that's making that happen. And I don't think it's an easy process because I think your person's fighting it every step of the way. I care about you even when I act like I don't. I'm hiding my true feelings because I feel vulnerable. So again, dark night of the soul, they are vulnerable because it's again, I don't know who I am. It's like I thought I was this person and life was working for me. And now what I see is that maybe I want different things. And it's like, I don't know how that makes me feel. I don't feel safe. And that's because they weren't brought up in an environment that displayed that. And then I feel like they've had only bad relationships. Sometimes speaking your truth, you're not going to please people. So the person learned to lie to navigate their relationship. They did not have good relationships because it never goes well when we lie just to be a people pleaser and then do what we want. And I feel like this is how this person navigated a lot, because they navigated that way with you too. I'm just gonna tell you whatever, and then I'm gonna get what I want. And you were like, you called them out on it. You were like, no, my boundaries are crossed. I'm not gonna like let you come in here and do that. And I feel like you dealt with them a few times. So you're like, oh yeah, you always come back pretending that you're gonna give something and you don't. So this time I knew to ask. You actually thought the more time that you spent away with from me, that I was just gonna be so excited to be passionate with you. It's like, no. And that's why I feel like this time this person wants to come back, but they're like, oh, that what happened. So, and they're also not in a good space in their life. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't even be looking at this situation as much as they did, but everything is falling apart in this. So they also want love. Because dark night of the soul is when we're in a most horrible time of our life. I long to sweep you off your feet and shower you with my love. See, it's again, they do have these feelings for you. It's like, and they want to do it, but they have to be vulnerable. So we see a lot of desire, we see a lot of want, we see that they're in a dark night of the soul, they're in a place of healing. I'm gonna pull one more. But we do not see them coming towards you. What we see is a lot of reflection on their behavior and trying to figure out exactly what it is that they want. What we are experiencing is a part of a larger collective clearing. Don't feel alone because others are healing too. So they're like feeling as if, again, they're healing. And maybe not consciously, maybe on the higher self, they realize that this is a spiritual connection, that you're supposed to come into their life. And they're also seeing of what's going on within the world and seeing that there's a lot of changes within in the world. And I'm also feeling like at one time this person might have been really religious, and now they are actually becoming a little bit more open-minded about spirituality, where at one point they were not into spirituality at all. And so I'm feeling like they're intuitive and they're seeing what's going on, and they're saying, I feel like you're supposed to be in my life. And they also see that this is a difficult relationship because it's triggering them, it's making them change, it's making them reflect. I feel like a lot of what they're reflecting on, they're, like I said, is benefiting you because they're going through this dark night of the soul at the same time that they're reflecting on you, because it's almost like this overwhelming pain. But I'm contributing a lot of it is not you. It's also like how they dealt with other things in their life. Because one thing doesn't, I mean, a breakup can create a dark night of the soul. A death can, like, it's the end. It's the end of the way things are supposed to be. Like, like, and really in this story, I feel like it's the end of your person being a player. It's the end of your player. It's the end of your player. It's the end of the player's way of of not really caring about anyone else, and it's actually taking responsibility, looking at their actions, looking at the way that they dealt the situation. And that's why it's a clearing process, and that they feel like you are helping them and that you are a divine relationship, and there is a tremendous amount of passion. I just feel like they're not doing anything right now because they're in a place of healing, and this is what it actually ends with. So we have to say, why did you attract this person? It's like, I do believe eventually this person will make their way back to you, but as far as right now, they don't know. They just know that there's these feelings and nothing else is working in their life. I feel like they feel as if they need to heal themselves and fix themselves a little bit before they come to you, and they don't know how long that process is. So we have to say, well, why would you attract a person that played all these games, wanted you, but wants you, but wants you on your terms, and now brings them to a place of healing. But where did it bring you? Like, what was the point? Because it's what's best for everyone is why the universe brings us people. It's not what's best for the person that comes into our life. What's best for you, it's best for everyone. Neglect. Well, again, this person that these are inner child cards. So say what was the inner child wound was neglect, not getting what you needed. Rebellion. So almost like you're bad. Like it's again where this person I felt like they kept twisting things around. Like you would turn around and say, hey, listen, I need for you to be more open, give me more emotional, time, connection, whatever it was, and they didn't want to do it. And so they deliberately were rebelling against you for no issue. Like it was almost like they were so angry with feeling these deep feelings, which they have no control over, that they run from the feelings sometimes. So it's almost like rebellion, but that's also making you feel as if you're bad and neglected. So this brings up a lot of pain. So I could see why that this relationship would be really triggering, and I'm sure that a lot of Virgos are not going to want to be with this person if when they do come make their way back because of all the games that they played and because of how long they're taking to come back. I mean, we can pull for it, but I'm telling you right now, this Virgo would never take a person back that took this long to figure it out and triggered many wounds because that this person knew what they were doing. It's like they didn't want time and attention. They didn't give you any time or attention. They neglected you. And again, and were actually rebellious against it, like twisting it, turning it, making it like it was a chore, making it like it was a difficult thing to do. So if when a person makes us feel that way, we have to ask ourselves, where else did we feel that? And when we're pulling inner child wounds, we have to say, well, that happened in childhood. So this is why we're attracting it. So we have to say, okay, well then can we do to integrate it? Because you have to reparent. So it would obviously be by giving yourself time and attention, by not emotionally neglecting yourself. And it's okay to be a rebel if it's in a positive way. Um, However, don't be a rebel just to be like spiteful. I feel like the person deliberately didn't give you time to be spiteful. But for you, it's more or less giving yourself the time and attention, including if it is to like be a little bit rebellious when it comes to um, being selfish for your own time, as well as whatever ideas that you have, like in pulling those really wild ideas into fruition, to give yourself the time in creating yourself. Because what I see, if a person didn't give you time, they didn't give you attention, definitely neglect. So I mean, when we're adults, the idea is not to run out and trying to obtain that. The illusion is, oh, well, I'll just go out and meet somebody else. But if you do that, you'll most likely get the same thing. A person that pretends, which is what we see here, the person that like to pretend that they've changed, but not really change. Or come in and not say that they've changed, but still come to you and you know that they have feelings. Just try to like wear you down and play all these little games to try and get what they want because they don't want to change. And I feel like they've done that in a lot of areas of their life, which is why they live in the dark night of the soul. going through a dark night of the soul and realizing what's actually important. But you have to give yourself that time and attention, the love. Listen to life. I'm attentive to the world around me, signs and symbols guide me to success. I listen and discover the way to the external, the eternal. I feel like, again, the eternal would be of God, right? Of the universal energy, that higher consciousness, that when we die, we go back to source. That part of ourself, that spirit part of ourself goes back to source. Well, the whole spiritual language is in signs and symbols within the universe. So what spirit is saying is that you have to give yourself the time and the attention, and that happens through being interactive in life. And that's by, again, giving and receiving of love through your free will. But as you're giving and receiving of love through your free will, you're paying attention to what the universe is bringing you, because the universe is always going to bring you what you need to be emotionally fulfilled. And that's on your path, right? As long as you're giving yourself the time and the attention, and you're creating yourself, you're becoming yourself, and then you're becoming a magnet for all these different things that are in alignment with your energy to come to you. And those things are going to help you in developing your craft, in becoming yourself, in helping you get to where you need to be on your destination, because we don't fail. The illusion is that we can fail. The illusion is that we're not enough. The illusion is that we're not good enough, which is the energy of what happens when we feel neglected, right? It's like, I don't really believe in myself. But really, we have to display that we believe in ourselves. And a lot of times that's, we got to fake it till we make it. And then by putting the energy out there the best way we know how, it doesn't mean that we're perfect. A lot of masters are disasters in the beginning. So it's about, again, just having the faith and putting the energy out there the best way that you know how, and realizing that the universe is going to bring you everything that you need, but you have to be grounded, and you really need to like listen to life and be attentive to the world around you, and pay attention to the signs and the symbols, and that's through your intuition, right? Because only in the now do you get divine guidance, through gut intuition, inner knowing, and that's when you're on your path. And that's when you're not looking for the answer. It's when you're actually on your path, and you're doing what you're doing, when you're embodying what you're doing, when you're in the moment. That's when you're getting that divine guidance. That's when you're acting on it. That's when you're living your bliss. That's when you're fulfilling yourself with the unconditional love that you didn't get, that you're waiting for this person to come in. And it's like, this person, like, yeah, they realize it, but they have feelings, but there's so much like issues, with them, that they can't seem to get out of their own way. And that is what makes a person feel like, well, you're making me feel as if I'm not lovable, where really spirit says, no, it should be able to make you feel that way. That's this person. And so they neglected, they don't want to give time, energy. Again, put the time and effort into yourself. And acceptance. I accept every step that life presents me without resistance. I try to find out what the universe is trying to teach me, so that I can grow. Thus, I advance in freedom on the path of light. And the path to light is of unconditional love, the energy of the universe. Again, the energy of God. When we are clear with no shadows, we're able to have spirit not only work through the environment to bring us the people, situations, and experiences that change our mind and our heart, but spirit works through us. And that's when our supernatural powers are able to work to help us manifest. And that's when we're like, oh, was it magic? No, it's the fact that the universe is always showing you love, is always giving you unconditional love. And if you don't do that for yourself, you're never going to have people in your life. So when I had started this reading in the beginning, I said sometimes in our relationships, when they're soul relationships, we could really get stuck in, heart, head, out of balance. Like we care about the person, but the person is triggering us, and you know, soul relationships, not all the time are we supposed to be together. Sometimes they just come into our life to create awareness, to show us they impact our life. And this is what I see, that right now your person is not able to really be with you because they're doing healing, and that really is the right thing for them to do in order for them not to handle things the way that they did with you. They wouldn't have even looked at this relationship if the connection wasn't there, if the depth of this connection was not there. It is. So it's about you accepting. The key is to accepting where the relationship is in the moment. And the way that you do that is when you learn the lesson and you integrate the spiritual lesson. So you learned it by saying, well, it's about me creating my life more, giving myself the love and the attention. And that's through creating myself more and letting the universe guide me, letting the universe bring me the people, the situations, and the experiences that are going to fulfill me, that are going to show me and bring me to my true self, so that I could really attract the right person in my life. Because right now, like you said, this person does love, and there is unconditional love there. And I believe that you do have unconditional love for this person. However, they need healing. And I feel like you need to do a little bit of healing as well, even though you're not the one that played games, only so that you don't keep on attracting the same types of people that emotionally can't give. When you don't need it, you are automatically attracted. The universe gives you who you are. You are, like we see things how we are, we attract who we are. Even when we don't like what comes to us, it doesn't mean that we channel the energy on the scene. All right, Virgo, I'm going to leave that there. I hope that you resonated. And if you did, leave me a like, a comment, and don't forget to write the word self-observation in your comment bar if you want to enter into winning a free reading with me. And I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.